Talk about is probably the biggest design challenge of our lifetime for all of us. Basically, all of us someday will grow old, and a number of us will not be able to take care of themselves. We would need help from somebody else. And what I mean by that is physical help to take care of our daily living activities, such as bathing, eating, cooking, dressing, etc. And my interest at present is to research, design, and create a model home where those who are elderly and disabled can live independently as much as possible, and at the same time, care they need, which is unavoidable, is a minimum burden for those who are providing that care. And there are many different reasons for doing it, including some self-esteem. People like to stay in their homes, and at least in USA, economically, it is very, very expensive. If your family members can't take care of you, you go to nursing homes, and it costs $200 to $400 per day. And if you happen to live there for a few years, even for well-to-do people, your lifetime savings are spent. This is also one of the main focus of National Institute of Aging, which is part of National Institute of Health, that with the goal that elderly individuals remain healthy and live in their own homes and communities. My main focus is empowering individuals and reducing burden to caregivers by designing assistive devices. And I'm throwing more a challenge to you than offering you solutions. Move on. The slides that you will see today, they are real-life slides because we have conducted some extensive research in many homes in USA and Canada where people were receiving care and they were dependent on somebody else to take care of them. This is a slide from Iowa. This teenage girl is lying on the floor. Her mother is waiting for a caregiver to come in the evening, and with the help of caregiver, the mother and the caregiver will transfer this girl from floor to bed. So the whole day she stays on the floor. In the evening, she's put on the bed. In the morning, the caregiver comes and places her on the floor. Prior to our research, beginning in 1988, these were some of the methods for lifting and transferring patients, people who cannot get out of the bed themselves. Somebody else helps to help them to get out of the bed. And the emphasis at that time was, what is the best technique? In other words, is A better than B, B better than C, in terms of reducing stresses to the caregiver? And the answer is none of them work. And the alternative is what is called transfer belt or gait belt, that you just provide something to grip on, and you lift a person using this transfer belt or gait belt and transfer, say, from bed to wheelchair or wheelchair to toilet. What you're noticing on the right side is that the transfer belt has slided up on the person. There have been cases of broken ribs and bruises. What we also keep in mind that these transfers, like in this case, from toilet to wheelchair, need to be made inside a toilet room. And even in USA, the toilet rooms are small. You are seeing the person sitting on the toilet. You're seeing a wheelchair. You are seeing a sink. You are seeing handrail. And I requested the two caregivers to move out so that I can take this picture. And you insert those two, and then they're gonna lift and transfer this patient. Lifting and transferring patients is not simply just lifting an inanimate object that weighs, let's say, 70, 80 kilograms. In this case, the whole process of lifting, wiping, pulling the pants up, and then transferring takes more than a minute. You are under load for that amount of time, while just lifting a bag or sack takes 2 seconds. We have done biomechanical analyses of various methods being shown here for lifting and transferring patients. Needless to say that without even any analysis, you can say how unstable these transfers are and how much stress they place on the caregiver, and the patient is very in a compromising, unsafe position. On the bottom right, what you're seeing is the hoist that was developed in 1950. And it puts a lot of stress on the person's shoulders. So what we designed was something called walking belt. This has handles on the side. This has a strap on the back. By pulling the strap, you can taper the belt. In the front, you have buckles, the snap-on buckles that can easily be opened and closed. Don't take much time, as well as they can be tightened. The thing to keep in mind is we do not lift a person using this belt. We use a new technique called pull the patient towards you. Remember, we can push and pull at this table. We can't lift this table. Okay? So using a pulling technique, we lift and transfer the patient. Shown here is I'm transferring a person using the pulling technique from wheelchair to bed. At the bottom, you are seeing that a patient being transferred using that belt and pulling techniques inside the bathroom from toilet to wheelchair. We also work with manufacturers to design something called sit and stand hoist. It's a battery-operated hoist, and depending upon how much you raise the person will bear weight, from practically no weight-bearing ability to full weight. So this also helps the person in supporting the weight and maintaining independence. And if nothing works, and that hoist that was designed, which is also battery-operated, is called Total Lift Hoist, and this can lift and transfer practically any kind of patient. One of the biggest challenges for nurses is the patients slide down in the bed, as shown at the top left slide. These patients needs to be what we call boosted up into the bed. So you got to lift the patient and move the patient towards the headboard. It's a very dangerous job, cannot be done with one person. We work with the manufacturers. You're seeing that yellow sheet. It's a 2 sheets with a small amount of silicone and air in it. You rub the 2 sheets. It creates good amount of air. You put a draw sheet over that, and you glide the patient up and down sideways. So you are seeing that patient being moved up into the bed using that sheet. And on the left, bottom left corner, there is a bed, and there is what is called a cardiac chair. This is used for patients who are suffering from cardiac diseases. 4 nurses are trying to transfer this patient in a hospital from bed to cardiac chair. First of all, it took them 20 minutes to get 4 nurses together, because 4 nurses don't work in one wing. They are too expensive. Okay. What you're seeing on the middle bottom and right bottom, using the same draw sheet in my lab, I can transfer this patient using one person, no lifting required. In Canada, they use something called Saskatoon Pole. It's a pole that connects from floor to the ceiling and can be easily removed. And that lady on the top left is supporting her weight by holding on to the pole and being dressed by the caregiver. On the top right, using the same pole, the patient is able to bear most of her weight and transfer herself from bed to wheelchair with some guidance. On the bottom right, This person has no ability to move his legs, but using a slide board and trapeze, he's able to move himself from bed to wheelchair without any assistance. Bottom right, this person is confined to wheelchair and he can't enter the house because of a step. But there's a ramp which works on electricity. A motorized ramp can go up and down, and he's able to go in and out of the house. Bathing is a major problem. And in Western countries, they often use bathtubs for bathing. And person will stay in that bent over posture for about 20 minutes, give the bath, and then as you are seeing on the bottom slides, lift and transfer the patient after being in that bent over postures while your back muscles are fatigued. A very dangerous situation for caregivers as well as for the patient. We worked with manufacturers and designed what is called shower chair that you are seeing on top left corner. The shower chair is on the wheels. We transfer the patient using the walking belt or the hoist, battery-operated hoist, to this shower chair. Then the shower chair can be pushed into the shower room. Top right, you are seeing that the caregiver is giving shower to the patient. No bending, no transfer is required. Same shower chair can be pushed over a toilet and patient can be toileted without any transfer. During these home visits, I saw some good things. For example, the second slide at the top is electric power tilting chair. This chair is connected to electrical outlet. By control, you can tilt this chair as much as you want. And basically what it does is, it brings the person from a sitting position to standing position and helps those who have reduced leg muscles or weakened leg muscles to stand up. On top, in the middle and top right, you are seeing that the beds have been raised. And the purpose is that the hoist can be brought under the bed so the patient can be transferred using the hoist. Otherwise, it would not be possible. Similarly, bottom right, you are seeing that the bathtub is raised so that the hoist can be used to transfer the patient into and out of the bathtub. Poor design, bottom left. That ledge is a nuisance. Neither the patient can walk into it, and nor the caregiver are able to use any assistive devices inside that shower room. This patient is confined to wheelchair. He relies on somebody. That's the next thing that we are working on, that how can somebody transfer himself or herself from bed to wheelchair without any assistance. But this person relies right now. The caregiver comes, transfer the patient from bed to wheelchair. Once he's in wheelchair, he takes care of himself. He's shaving at the bottom slide. The sink is designed so that wheelchair goes under the sink. Next to the sink is a shower without a ledge. He can push his wheelchair into the shower. He gives shower himself without any help. After getting shower and stuff, his van is designed that he can take his wheelchair inside the van, drive his van to work, and goes to work. This lady lives in Canada. She's confined to wheelchair, but her whole flat is designed so that she can more or less is independent except for one thing, that somebody has to transfer her from bed to wheelchair and then again in the night from wheelchair to bed. Okay. At the top left, there's a sink. She can clean all our dishes. The sink counter is designed such a way that she can, by using her hands, she's able to wash the dishes. On the top right, she's doing her own cooking. On bottom left, she's cutting meat and vegetables, preparing food. On bottom right, the drawer pulls out. She can put all the cups and plates and cutlery and take them out. Top right, using grabber, she can get cookies or cereal box or whatever she needs. And There's a space under the counter for doing all the writing, paying the bills and stuff like that. There's a ramp so you can push out a wheelchair and go into the balcony in the evening to enjoy outside and then come back inside. A lot of people also need care by nurses while living at their home, wound care. What I was showing at the top slides, the nurse is sitting on the floor or bending down to the dressing and cleaning the wound and stuff like that. At the bottom, I provided them with the stools, about 15 centimeter high. Just by sitting on 15 centimeter high, their backs are in a much better shape than what you are seeing at the top. So what is the net effect of all these kind of changes that we have made in nursing homes and hospitals and in home environment? We have been able to reduce the injuries by 62%. In other words, 3 out of 5 injuries. We have been able to reduce lost work days by 86%, more than 9 out of 10 we removed. How would you rate the stresses on your low back? Before they were said the job was somewhat hard. Now they are saying it's very, very light. Similarly, we asked, how are the stresses on your shoulder? Before they said it was somewhat hard. Now they are saying it's very, very light. We asked them, is the current method less hard on you than the previous method? 92% said they like the current method. We asked the patient, we asked the caregivers, are the new devices easier to use? Are they user-friendly? 97% said yes. We asked them, are they safer? 87% said yes. We asked the patients, do you feel more comfortable with the new devices as compared to old manual methods? 71% said yes. Some of them still like the touch of body. We asked the patients, do you feel more comfortable? Not sure. Half said yes, half said no. Intangible benefits included we saw an improvement in patient care and mobility. We noticed the workers in their 60s were able to continue their employment because their jobs were made easy. We observed that pregnant women well into their trimester continue to work, make these transfers, which they were not able to do prior to these devices. We observed that people who had back surgeries, spinal disc surgeries, they were able to perform all their duties. And in general, the caregivers felt less tired and less fatigued. We have a long way to go, but this is the beginning. And my goal is, as I said earlier, to create a model home which can serve as a research lab, as well as demonstration lab for people who'd like to use assistive devices to maintain their independent living environment. So thank you very much.